welcome back to the Sports Perspective TV viewers and subscribers. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time coming across the channel or you haven't subscribed as yet, definitely hit that subscribe button. So in this video, we're going to be reviewing the T20 World Cup so far. The T20 World Cup is in its second week. So by this time, we have seen, all the teams play matches. Some have played 2 matches, some have played 3 matches. And so the question for you, the viewers, in this video is which team, have you been most impressed with in the T20 World Cup so far? So which team have been most impressive to you? And also, which team or which teams, have you been most disappointed in so far? So which team have been the most impressive and which team have been the most disappointing team in the World Cup so far? So those are the questions that I would definitely like you to answer in the comment section. And we're going to be reviewing the groups and the group standings and team performances so far in the World Cup in this video, right? So if you want to begin with the teams that have been impressive, definitely you would have to start with the unbeaten teams that are currently in the World Cup. So with that in mind, the teams that are still currently unbeaten in the World Cup, are, so South Africa, they have won all 3 of their matches so far. So they could be in the conversation for most impressive team. India also, they are unbeaten. So they can be in the conversation as well. And in that group with India, Pakistan, USA, they are also unbeaten in that group as well, after their surprising victory over Pakistan. So they can be in the conversation for being most impressive. Then in the West Indies group, obviously you have Afghanistan. They have had 2 dominant performances so far, beating New Zealand comprehensively as well. So they are definitely in the conversation for most impressive team. And West Indies, we are also unbeaten in the group. Even though, and we had a dominant victory as well, us as fans, we weren't pleased with the margin of victory or how we won the first match against Papua New Guinea. But nevertheless, we are still unbeaten. So we can be up there in the conversation as well, even though me personally, I wouldn't say we have been the most impressive team. Also in the conversation would be Scotland. And so they had a rain-affected match against England, and they have won their other 2 matches against the weaker opponents in the group. So they are atop their group, so they have to be in the conversation as well. And of course, Australia, they are unbeaten. They have won their 2 matches, beating England very comprehensively as well. So they are definitely in the conversation as far as teams that have been most impressive. Personally, I would say most surprising or most impressive, because honestly, Afghanistan, performing the way they have been performing, to me is not surprising, because I've done videos about their team and I did a bit of research on their team and realized that they do have a lot of quality players. So it's not surprising to me that they are doing well in the World Cup. But what I would say is surprising, though, is the way they defeated New Zealand, the margin of victory that they beat New Zealand. So I definitely would have to go with Afghanistan as being the most impressive team so far for me. And I even did a poll on the channel, and if you haven't seen the poll, you can go check the poll as well and cast your vote. And I think majority of the voters, the people that voted on that poll, had Afghanistan as their most impressive team so far in the World Cup. And it's not surprising, so when you bowl out a team for 50-something and then bowl out New Zealand for 77, 2 huge margins of victory, you definitely have, cannot argue with them being the most impressive team. But there's an argument to be made for Australia as well. They dominated England in their match. England who are contenders. They are expected to be contenders. They have won the trophy before. So Australia is definitely up there. India, they have won both of their matches. Defeating Pakistan in Pakistan is a team that they defeated as well. Even though it was a low scoring match. Indian, they only scored about 114 or something like that. Their bowling was good enough to restrict Pakistan to less than that, right? So it low scoring as the match was, still an impressive performance by India. So they are definitely in the conversation as well. South Africa, they have won all 3 of their matches, but again, low scoring matches, and a lot of this, especially for India and South Africa, I think it has a lot to do with the playing conditions, especially on that pitch, that the new pitch for the new stadium in Long Island. It's been difficult to batten for all the teams that have played there. So a few of the low scoring matches have come on that pitch, but nevertheless, they have been able to pull out victories in all 3 of their matches, even though they have not batted well on that pitch, right? So it just goes to show that their bowling is on point, and they are leading their group. So South Africa is in the conversation as well. But for me personally, it would be Afghanistan that has been most impressive so far. Definitely let me know which team have been most impressive to you. As far as most disappointing now, I would say teams in contention for that, Pakistan, of course, Sri Lanka, who have, they lost to South Africa and they have lost to Bangladesh, right? None of those teams are, you would call them, none of them are associate members, first of all, but you would expect Sri Lanka to at least beat Bangladesh. So far they have lost both of their matches, so they can be in contention for a most disappointing team. Pakistan, I think Pakistan, though, most people would say Pakistan have been the most disappointing for a few reasons. So even though they lost to India, chasing 114, you expect Pakistan to chase down that total, right? Regardless of which team they're playing. So that's definitely disappointing as on their behalf. And obviously the match that they lost against the USA, that was a surprise to the entire cricketing world. No, I'm sure no one in the cricketing world expected them to lose that match. And to be honest, it was poor bowling, especially in the super over, I would say, right? A lot of extras were conceded in the super over, which contributed to that. But the USA definitely batted well and played well in that match and were deserving of that victory. So, but Pakistan, their performances so far have been very underwhelming. So I would say Pakistan, they have been the most disappointing team. Also in that conversation as well would be New Zealand. Even though they have only played that much against Afghanistan so far. But the manner in which they lost that match, getting bowled out for, 77 runs was definitely surprising and disappointing. I'm sure from a New Zealand fans' perspective as well, they are disappointed with the way the team lost that match. And just as a neutral fan watching the match, it was disappointing to see New Zealand getting bowled out for such a low total. But from a West Indian fan perspective, though, I wouldn't say I was upset. Obviously net run rate will be a huge factor in this group between the West Indies, New Zealand, and Afghanistan. So, the margin of victory was, while it was surprising, definitely won't complain about it, because that could be what helps to decide whether or not the West Indies go through. Obviously West Indies play New Zealand tomorrow, and we're definitely hoping that the West Indies can pull out a victory in that one and secure their spot in the quarterfinals as well. So, going to go over the group, the current group standings in the World Cup right now, just to finish up this video. So India, they are currently atop their group on 4 points. Also on 4 points with them are the USA. Both teams have played 2 matches. And Pakistan, they are on 2 points. Pakistan and Canada are on 2 points, and from playing 3 matches. So Pakistan have lost 2 and won 1 match. So to Canada. And all 4 of those teams, still have a chance of making it to the quarterfinals, depending on how the results of the remaining matches in that group goes. But you would expect India, and it will be a toss-up between Pakistan and the USA to see which one of them make it from that group. The US will have India and Ireland as their remaining matches, and Pakistan also have Ireland as their last match. So Ireland can definitely, play a huge, or decide which of these teams make it through the group along with India. In Group B, Scotland are currently leading. So after their 3 matches, they have 5 points. Australia, they have 4 points from 2 matches. And And Namibia, they have 2 points from 2 matches. England is all the way in fourth, only having 1 point from 2 matches. Like I mentioned earlier, their match against Scotland was a no result, so they only got a point from that match, and they lost their next match to Australia. But if England win their remaining matches, they definitely have a chance to make it through the group as well. Net run rate will be crucial in this group. Scotland already on 5 points, and the most that England can get to is 5 points as well. So whichever of those teams make it through will depend on their net run rate. So we'll have to wait and see how that group plays out, but it'll be interesting to see. In the other group, in Group C, which is the West Indies group, Afghanistan, they are atop the group right now on 4 points. Also on 4 points are the West Indies, but Afghanistan, by virtue of their dominating performances so far, their huge margins of victory in the group, they are leading on net run rate. So Afghanistan's net run rate is 5.2, and West Indies run rate is 3.5. Right. So and so Afghanistan are leading. In third is Uganda. They are on 2 points, after playing 3 matches. And then Papua New Guinea and New Zealand, they are on 0 points. They are yet to win any matches in the group. So this match between West Indies and New Zealand that will be coming up, if the West Indies are able to win the match, then they will if the West Indies are able to win the match, then West Indies will secure their spot in the quarterfinals of the World Cup, because no other than Afghanistan, none of the other teams would be able to get to 3 victories from the group matches, right? And then in the final group, South Africa, like I mentioned earlier, they are atop their group, so they have won all 3 of their matches so far, so they are on 6 points. In second spot right now is Bangladesh on 2 points. Also on 2 points are the Netherlands, and both Bangladesh and Netherlands, they have played 2 matches, so Bangladesh is leading on net run rate. So that group will be interesting to see who makes it out the group along with South Africa. Nepal are on 0, and Sri Lanka are also on 0. Sri Lanka, they have lost both of their matches so far, but they have played the toughest opponents in the group. So Sri Lanka's matches have been against Bangladesh and South Africa, right? So you definitely would expect Sri Lanka to win their remaining matches, and if they can do so, they do stand a chance of making it out of the group. Bangladesh, however, they have Nepal and they have Nepal and the Netherlands to play. So it will be interesting. This group will definitely be interesting, right? So we'll have to wait and see how this group plays out. But it's been interesting so far. In the T20 World Cup, surprise victories, surprise losses. The most, like I mentioned earlier, the most impressive team so far, to me, in my opinion, have been Afghanistan, and most disappointing have been Pakistan. But definitely share in the comment section which teams have impressed you the most and which teams have disappointed you the most. That's all I have for you in this video, viewers and subscribers. As always, thank you for tuning in. Do remember to like the video, share the video as well, comment on the video, and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.